Drivers, start your engines.
You are now listening to the fastest show on IE Sports Radio. My name is Daryl Kinsey Jr. and I'm welcoming you to take another lap of the extra mile for tonight, August 22nd, 2019. And ladies and gentlemen, the days are getting shorter, the temperatures are getting colder, I promise. Even though I think summer's having a revenge tour here in the DC area, that means it is almost time to run for some championships. But right now, we've got one more week of summer break to go through as NASCAR's on their last break before heading into their playoffs. Formula One is still on break before they head to Spa. IndyCar will be the only racing in order this week, as well as some NASCAR trucks and Xfinity as well. But before we get into the rest of the show, I must welcome my co-host, Mr. Michael Ward and Miss Caitlin Seen. Welcome in, y'all.
Hello, hello.
Moment of silence for our boy Spider-Man.
So sad.
I know Caitlin talked about this a little bit on her show.
Boycott Disney.
We're going to talk a little pop culture here for just a little bit. I am aware of the breakdown in talks between Sony and Disney over the fate of Spider-Man in the MCU. To be honest, I just have a feeling this is just going to end up with Disney buying Sony's movie studio because that's what Sony does.
Don't you really?
I mean, that's what Disney does,
Nope.
excuse me.
I don't want to start up my PlayStation 4 and go, hoo-hoo!
I almost spit water
it's just
all
getting
over
a
my
little.
computer.
It's just getting so excessive at this point. Like, they're like at this point, it's going to be like news at 11. Disney owns California. And then they're just going to buy out the government. So it'll be like the U.S. Congress, sponsored by Disney. Like, where does it stop? I could write like a dystopian world at this point where.
I was about to say a joke so wild, but I need
Go,
to
do it. Do it. Do it.
I was like, isn't our Congress a joke as it is?
See, there you go. Might as well add a little few more mouses to it. Wow, we drew some lines right now.
Anyway. You guys came for racing, all right? You know.
I said the same damn thing on my show tonight. I was like going off. Mostly I was complaining about the heat and all that, like all the things I'm ready for fall. And then I was like, I'm sure that none of you guys wanted to even hear this, but here we are.
You guys came for racing. We're going to talk about racing.
At least
we
a little
got
bit.
Spicy Formula One, possible driver transfers.
Oh, yeah, there is a triple driver transfer that I'm looking at and saying, yes, please inject it straight into my veins. But before that, we've got to talk about...
Starting to look like World War I out there, guys. I'm just kidding,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Well, before we get there, we got to talk about Pocono Raceway, as they had their IndyCar race this weekend. And, well, we had another big incident on the opening stages, heading into the tunnel turn because we cannot have nice things in IndyCar.
We can't have nice things at Pocono. Maybe we should clarify.
If you guys don't remember, last year Robert Wickens tried to go too wide in the tunnel turn with Ryan Hunter-Reay, and unfortunately ended up in an accident that paralyzed him from the waist down. And this year, after a horrendous start, which we called on USRN, I still don't know how that start was not waved off. We had Alexander Rossi falling through the field because he had an absolutely hellacious start. And he ended up going 3 wide with Ryan Hunter-Reay and Takuma Sato. And those 3 cars made contact. They end up wrecking down the middle of the backstretch towards the tunnel turn. Takuma Sato's car comes back on track, clips Felix Rosenquist, who was just inches from being clear of the incident. Rosenquist ends up getting into the fence, loses the right front wheel. Nowhere near the destruction we saw when Robert Wickens' car got in the wall. And the IndyCar community had a conniption fit on social media, basically saying we need to get away from Pocono because we keep having major accidents here. Y'all, there is a 2.5 mile speedway in Indiana that would like to say to Pocono, hold my beer when it comes to major accidents. And I think we know what that speedway is.
I got it. It's IPR.
IPR?
It's Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Yeah. And my big concern with this is, yes, Justin Wilson passed away at this track. That was a 1 in a million shot what happened to him. And that was a tragedy, and I'm sorry that he's gone. That was a 1 in a million shot. Yes, Robert had a big crash here last year. That was driver error. Yes, it was a big wreck, but that was driver error. The fence did not help, but if Robert doesn't try to take it too wide in the tunnel turn, which is a turn you cannot go too wide in any car that races at that speedway, we're not talking about him being in a wheelchair today. And again, you get guys over-driving on the first lap, causing a big accident. And instead of us talking about the racing etiquette of the drivers at this track for some reason being absolutely all over the place, we're talking about the track being somehow unsafe for IndyCar when the cars are hitting a piece of equipment that, well, they're not supposed to be hitting in the first place.
I just feel like it's... I don't even know. Like, like, this shit only happens in Pocono. Like, let's be honest. Like, this kind of, like, shenanigan, like, of course it would happen on the anniversary of Robert Wickens' crash. Just like, of course, the year before it would be the anniversary from that poor dude's death. Like, it's like it just keeps going here. And Robert Wickens was pretty heavy about it, too, after, like, the wreck. Because he, like, pretty much demanded that they never, like, race there again.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, I don't know. And we are improving the car. Like, we are getting, like, they are, like, kind of going to, like, not, like, the full hood, but, you know, they're bringing up the windshield with a new design and everything to help protect stuff. But I just feel like we just have to be, like, reminded that racing is a really dangerous sport.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're not playing with teddy bears. Like, this is not us in a bounce house with pillows. Like, we are in machines that go 200 miles an hour with a hope and a prayer. Like, it was a sick wreck. Like, I'm not going to, like, deny that at all. I acknowledged it was a sick wreck, and it was kind of scary. But, like, to me, I'm just like, okay, well, we're okay. We're going to move on. Nobody, whatever.
I mean, I didn't even think...
Things got pretty violent in the community from this wreck. Yeah, I haven't seen anybody, like, that heated all year.
Oh, it was ugly. And then Felipe Massa, known critic of IndyCar, basically came out and said they were putting their drivers' lives in danger. I'm like, hold on for a second. The track did not tell Takuma Sato and Ryan Hunter-Reay, hey, go 3 wide towards the corner. Y'all aren't supposed to go in 3 wide in. Nobody, the track had nothing to do with them squeezing Alexander Rossi like that and putting him in the wall. That was not a track thing.
Right.
That was a driver situation. Now, yes,
And
Rosenquist's
It's like last
car.
year for Verstappen.
Yeah. Go ahead, Michael.
and also, what motorsport it doesn't put their drivers' lives in danger?
I mean, the sport inherently
Like,
puts
there's-
its
Like
drivers'
the
lives
sport
in
is
danger.
inherently dangerous, like you said.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Right. I mean,
and
and if you,
also, like Andretti told me, if you're scared, then don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
right. Well, and it's just like how the on the dragsters, like the bikes, they wear bulletproof vests. That's how dangerous those are.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, yes, you can only be so safe in so many ways, but at the end of the day, look at what you're in. Nothing about this sport is safe. Look at how many people get into car accidents and lethal car accidents at that, just driving down the road every day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and also,
Not
Massa,
alone
you got
putting
hit
yourself
in the
onto a
head.
course with 200-mile-per-hour cars. Like, yeah, it's not like we're playing bumper cars here. They're literal rocket ships. If you inverted them enough, they would go into the sky and be in outer space. Like,
And we saw Scott Dixon do that at Indianapolis a couple of years ago, and it is lucky that he is still with us, by the way. Because
Also, Massa, you got hit in the head with a, like, I think it was a bolt or something like that, and you still kept driving. So yeah, racing is dangerous, but you know,
also
we're
a
still gonna
bolt.
do it.
Sorry about that. Also, it's a bolt that the Halo would not have stopped, by the way. What happened to Massa? But it
But then,
just
do we
frustrated me
remember
so
when,
much.
wasn't it Dale? I mean, it was way back in the day. I'm trying to remember this one. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. Here's looking at you, Couch Crew Chief, if you're listening right now.
He said he was.
But wasn't there a race where Dale Earnhardt, where he hit like a bird or whatever, and it like flew through his windshield or whatever? Tell me I'm wrong. I swear to God that this was a story though. Like when I was like maybe not even alive.
I remember him hitting a bird, but that was at Daytona. I'm not sure if there was a second bird strike with his car. I'm not sure on that one
But I'm
either.
just saying, so it's not even like, I mean, it could be a freak of nature thing, or like how like Juan Pablo, him being an idiot, because Juan Pablo Montoya is an idiot in my personal professional opinion. But remember when he freaking took out the jet dryer?
Yes.
Like, I mean, it's part of the sport.
Yeah, it's literally a part of the sport. It's part of what makes motorsport motorsport.
Well, my thing
And
is,
again, it's just
would
one of
you
those
rather
scenarios.
us-
Bad things just happen. I mean, look at freaking Dale Earnhardt Jr. and his family. They get in a freaking plane crash.
Yeah,
It's not, I mean, and they're, you know, in a completely comparted whatever, like it's enclosed. Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like when bad things happen, there's just always going to be this peanut gallery that the very first thing that they're going to do is complain about how everything is wrong and how everything is terrible and how everything is bad and it all needs to be fixed or it needs to all burn a fiery death. Like, that's just their instinct. Like, that's like their only reaction to it.
I mean,
Like,
what
can
do
we
you-
not just...
what do people want us to do? You want us to go and drive freaking Camrys, Ford Fusions out there, and I mean the freaking ones we get out of the factory, and just drive them on a little track and call that
So-
Formula One?
so Caitlin, this is
no.
It was a Seagull in 1991.
yeah. So and you saw
Well, you
Couch's
know,
Twitter as well. Apparently, a car hit his windshield at Talladega. That's terrifying. But seriously,
But I'm just saying,
If-
I'm just, it could be anything. What if
Yeah.
a gopher freaking ran out in front of one of these cars, especially an open wheel car? You're screwed. What are we going to do? Ban all gophers? Like,
well, here's my
It's
thing:
just-
if we can't race at Pocono because it's somehow too dangerous, we can never race at any oval on the schedule because that type of accident can happen at any oval we go at. Heck, it can happen at any track we go to because a similar incident to Wickens' crash happened in the 90s at Toronto, and it killed Jeff Krosnoff and a couple of corner workers. So we can't just ban ovals because, they're scary and the cars get into the fence, where these cars can get into the fence anywhere they're going fast. Road course, street course, oval, if they're going fast enough, there's a fence nearby, they'll get into it. And another thing is, we cannot romanticize the danger and the death at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and then criticize Pocono for being a death trap. Because every single time the month of May comes around, we romanticize the danger of that speedway like it's something to be glorified, yet we get to Pocono and act like the sky's coming down because somebody got up in the wall.
Yeah.
And
they always are freaking out about something. I mean, it was just like when the big wreck happened a couple years ago that Newgarden was involved in Texas. Everybody, I don't know. Like I said, I think part of the problem is that there's a peanut gallery, and again, they are so quick to like turn into like this heathen mob when anything, like whenever we're just, you know what this race was? This race was a reminder that drivers are human, they make human mistakes, that nobody's perfect, and we're still driving a dangerous vehicle. That's literally what motorsports is, though.
And also, I hate to make it sound like this, but these drivers, they go into the car, they have family, friends, and a lot on the line, but you got to remember, they did sign up for this.
And at any time, they can walk away.
Yeah, anytime they can say, this is too dangerous, I got to leave, so...
Well, Sorry, go ahead, Michael. Finish your point.
I don't think Pocono needs to go. I just think we all need a reminder that, these things happen, and again, like I said, these drivers know what they signed up for.
I hope Pocono doesn't lose the date over this, because that track has been coming back in terms of fans and television ratings for IndyCar and NASCAR to a little bit of a lesser extent.
I won't support that second statement, but I'll support the first.
Well, the crowd is getting better at at Pocono, because I was there in July and it looked pretty full. Like, it wasn't a sellout, but it was close. So the people are starting to go back to the Pocono Mountains to watch races, which is a good thing. I just hope they don't lose the race because it's something that's just not under their control. And Couch had this to say: it is 2019. The age of open cockpits has gone by. It's time to close the cockpits. It won't save everyone, but it will save some. That's what safety is about, saving as many as possible. I agree with that as well. It is high time to put canopies on open wheel race cars.
I completely agree with that statement there.
Well, then I will be the rebel, and I don't agree. But go ahead, Michael.
I think it's time we, design like a closed cockpit, or maybe... Yeah, I think it's time we have like the canopy into IndyCar. These cars are safe; they can survive huge impacts, but if they have an angle where they get hit in the head, it's kind of over. So I think it's time we close the cockpits. But and then again, open cockpit racing is kind of what's IndyCar and F1. It's kind of what they're known for. It's kind of their thing. It's kind of what makes them different from WEC or NASCAR. It's open wheel racing, open cockpit, all this visibility or whatever. It's kind of why it has its own thing. And then it feels like if you close the cockpit, it feels like it kind of loses its own thing.
I mean, I understand that, but at the same time, we gotta think about protecting the drivers here. And if we gotta do that, then we gotta do it. But
here's the thing about that, though, is if closing the cockpit was such a detrimental, important thing, we would have a full-on driver's strike until it happened, but we don't. Not even when's the last time we had any kind of massive amount of drivers pushing for it? Like, they're still working on the technology. I personally am impressed with what they've been doing with the new car and the safety features. Obviously, I think the freaking flip-flop is ugly as shit, but it still has proved very effective. So I guess I'm just one of those people that will, like, I am not going to push for having a closed cockpit. Like, I get the fightings for it. Like, obviously it can be a safety thing, but haven't they proved time and time again, like, all of the reasons why it won't work? Like, for like heating purposes, for like how hot it would get in there, for the ventilation for the driver, even the amount that you're losing in like visual is kind of crazy. So I don't know, like, yeah, I can understand both sides, but if I have to plant my foot on one side of the line or the other, I'm definitely in the I'm okay with open cockpit, because as Michael pointed out, it's what kind of makes these cars what they are. We're still working very hard to advance safety features in them. If we weren't doing anything about it, I would get it. But again, even the little things that they've done so far have pushed to make these cars safer. Just like the new one that they just came out with, that we're coming out with, IndyCar, has already proved that. I'm forgetting the kid's name, and I feel so bad for the kid that died at Pocono a couple years ago, the brother.
Oh, Justin Wilson.
Justin Wilson, thank you. Like, they've already proved that, like, even his fluke accident, like, the new car model would stop that. So it's not like they're ignoring the issues at hand. And yes, the thing is that no matter what, you're never going to be able to stop everything. And I feel like I have not seen enough proven fact that closing the cockpit is going to is going to do anything to it. I just don't see enough proof of that. Like, I don't see enough proof of, again, because the huge thing they'd even talked about is because of ventilating, even like their legs and everything all the way up to their heads, because they don't have any coolant system on this car. Like, that's the only way they can even get any kind of air. You're closing that up completely. Where's everything else going? And then it's a weight issue, and then it just kind of stacks in and on itself. So I think for the fact that they are still working to improve these cars to help things as we go, and they're proven that they can do safety reasons without losing the integrity of the car, I'm okay with the way it's going. But again, too, is I almost just want to pick the other side since everybody was just in agreement.
Well, we'll see what they do going forward. Again, if they do decide to close the cockpits, it's going to take a lot of work to get that done, but it's something I would like to see them at least start exploring. But another issue before we actually get to the results. Santino Ferrucci finished 4th. He was the highest finishing rookie. He did have a chance to win the race. He had a good day, I will be honest. But we're not going to talk about him right now. We're going to talk about the NBC Sports Network's handling of Ferrucci. Because I don't know if you guys have heard this, but Townsend Bell said there's a false narrative about Santino Ferrucci. He made this comment during the race when it looked like Ferrucci had a chance to actually win the race. I'm trying to figure out when that false narrative was spun, because if I remember correctly, Caitlin, Michael, Santino got himself canned from Formula 2.
Yeah, he got himself canned. I forget what he did exactly.
I remember it. It started off with him driving to the grid with his cell phone in his hand and one glove off. He also ran into the back of his teammate after the race was over. There were allegations of racism by the team, and those allegations were enough that, as well as other factors, that ended up getting Santino Ferrucci canned from the Haas F1 drivers program and the F2 team he was on. And, oh, by the way, he tried to put Make America Great Again on his F2 car, which the FIA struck down immediately because they have rules against political statements on race cars. Also, he took the money he was supposed to pay his F2 team and took it to run in Detroit. The guy made the narrative himself. I am not saying he can't rebuild himself. I'm not saying he can't repair his image. But to sit there on the national broadcast and act like people are just making up what Santino Ferrucci did is disingenuous at best and malicious at worst.
Yeah, no, I have absolutely zero tolerance for any of it. No, it's a hard no for me. You're going to have to do a lot of Can you build yourself back up from this point? Yes. But the amount of time you better prove into having a change of heart and not believing in some of the stuff that you said, because to me, racism is a hard and fast line. You spit in it once, what's changed in your brain? You better be able to prove yourself and to prove that you had a change of heart and that you've learned from your past mistakes and you've moved on and you've become a better person. And that's not just by saying that, that's by proving it and showing in actions. Until you get that far, I don't want to hear it. And I don't care. You have fun racing Hot Wheels in your backyard. That's all I care about at that point, because you built that bed and now you're going to lay in it.
And I agree with that as well. My bigger concern is the fact that all year the NBA CSN team has been acting like this stuff didn't happen. Like, if you're going to talk about Santino Ferrucci getting removed from F2, own up what he did. I don't need you to tell the whole story.
And they love to pick and choose the narratives. And I feel like one of the best ways, like, even to show it is and it wasn't even on that kind of basis, and it's not in racing, but look at how much work it took Tiger Woods to get back into the media's good graces. Like, everybody after he won this past year, they're like, oh, Tiger Woods. Like, do we not remember, like, how absolutely shunned this kid was? Like, he had to bust his ass, and his was on cheating allegations, which, yeah, it sucks, it's bad, but it's not in the level of racism.
Yeah.
And again, he is this great, like, in racing, in F1, he'd be Lewis Hamilton. Like, that's him in the world of golf. And look at how long it took him to rebuild his image.
About a decade.
It was not yeah, literally. So this kid can sit his ass down and put in the damn work. And all these freaking networks need to remember, because you can't just let this kid go. You just can't let these things go. Nobody's going to learn from that.
And
Make it a learning experience for everybody in the industry, at the very least. Don't let it go.
And it doesn't look good that they are giving him a free pass on it. It does not look good at all. I'm just going to say that. Like,
I can't support anything that he's involved with at that point.
Yeah, yes, he's racing here. He's trying to rebuild his image. You need to mention the reason why he got here.
Yeah.
Or else you look disingenuous.
Absolutely.
And to trying to tell people that there's a false narrative, come on, guy. What are you doing?
And why is
you're gonna lie to people's faces?
So quick. Yeah. But why is it too? You know what? And like, why is it in racing that we are so quick to sweep everything under the rug? Anytime, even in NASCAR, any driver got kicked out for like doing drugs and getting caught with that, instantly under the rug, instantly forgotten. They just pushed it away. Like, they won't even talk about it. It's like having a member of your family get, what's that word? I'm all heated and I can't think of the word. When you disassociate with your like family. What's that called? I'm having a moment.
I know. Oh my goodness, I'm forgetting the word as well.
Doesn't it start with an E?
Estranged. Excuse me. There we go.
We're thinking of a word. But I mean, like, they're so quick to do that. And I feel like that's this situation too, where it's like, I feel like, I don't know. And again, I guess it's too, is like, I'm around football so often, and anybody does anything in football, it takes a long time for us to forget it, unless it's like somebody that they want us to forget it about, like the Patriots owner. But like, other than that, like, anytime a player messes up, we're going to know about it for a long time. Proof in being, Colin Kaepernick didn't even do anything bad. He literally was doing something he would like in how he was taught to do it. And literally we like completely bust him out of the cold for 3 years now. Like, it's just, so there's just, you know what I mean? Like, it's such a pick and choose situation, and it just pisses me off. Like, just be consistent. Just be consistent. If somebody does something wrong, hold them accountable. Because what are we teaching these kids if you're not going to hold these people accountable? Which is the biggest issue I have. Just hold them accountable.
It is a frustration. So the results of the race ends up getting rain shortened at lap 128 because of the hour cleanup that had to be taken care of after the lap 1 incident and Pocono weather being what it is. Will Power ends up extending his win streak to 13 straight years with a victory, with a dominating final segment to win in Pocono. Scott Dixon was second. Simon Pagenaud came home in third. And in the point standings, Joseph Newgarden finished fifth. He was able to make up a lot of points on his competitors. He went into the race with a 16-point lead. He went out of it with a 30-point lead. So it is now advantage Newgarden heading into the Bommarito Automotive Group 500, which will be coming up this Saturday at 8:45 p.m. You can watch that on NBCSN. So we're going to take a break. We're going to come back, and we're going to talk Bristol. We're going to talk Matt Dibenedetto. And we've got some Natalie Decker. And we've also got some Natalie Decker audio that we need to get to. And if you're going back to listen to this show, it may have the explicit tag. You're going to find out why on the other side of this break here on the Extra Mile on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Two Wheels Wednesday is the place to come for all your motorcycle sports news every Wednesday on IE Sports Radio with myself, Matt White. All the latest news, rumours, race reviews and previews from World and British Superbikes and the big one, MotoGP. Two Wheels Wednesday, every Wednesday on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sport.
Hey USRN fans, do you have a product or company you're trying to promote? Look no further. USRN is teaming up with small local businesses trying to establish themselves via online promotion. Let us know if you're interested. Email us at usrnradio@gmail.com to learn more.
What up, all you boxing fans? This is Vince Wright, the sports governor, and me and Gilbert Batista are the host of Ringside on IE Sports Radio. Make sure you keep it tuned to IE Sports Radio, Spreaker.com for the latest edition of Ringside. All the boxing news you need right here. Keep it tuned, Spreaker.com, IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
So welcome back to the Extra Mile here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Caitlin, Michael, and Daryl here with you this evening. Lita is preparing for vacation, so have fun, Lita. It was you and I here last week, and now it's Caitlin and Michael here with me this week, and we will have the four of us back together before the season is out, of course. And enjoy your vacation there, miss. So we're going to continue with the show. Before that, got some quick NFL preseason news that just came to my attention on Twitter. Here's the issue. The Raiders and the Packers are supposed to be having a preseason game today in Winnipeg. And due to poor field conditions, they've had to shorten the field from the normal yardage of 100 yards to 80 yards.
It's a BB field. It's a mini game.
So there will be no kickoffs in that game, but that is not a good look for them.
Whoopsie.
So we're going to continue on with the show now. And we're going to start off with the audio that I mentioned at the break. I'm going to have to go back and put the explicit tag on this one because I didn't really have time to edit this one up. But you need to hear this in its slightly unedited glory. Uh-oh, we lost somebody.
Well, I couldn't hear you for a hot minute.
So, Natalie Decker had a bad day at Bristol on Thursday. She ended up crashing out of the race. Got turned by the wrecker. And everyone had a laugh about that. And then NASCAR YouTuber Frisky Nixon got a hold of some of the audio some of the scanner audio from her team on Thursday and edited up a little supercut of the things that were said. We're going to play that for you now. I'm going to warn you that there is some bad language used in this audio.
Gas.
We're going to let you guys listen to this, and then we're going to give our opinions on the other side.
Inside. We're wrecked. All right, bring it to pit road. I don't know how the fuck I call inside the whole way down the backstretch. We still drive to the bottom of the corner getting into 3.
And you gotta listen to this spotter. If you would came down when you're supposed to off a two, this never would have happened.
Maybe just a little tight race of centers. It's close to back to normal.
Sorry.
We're pretty close.
Well, I'm sure it's a little tight now when you knock the side of the truck off. You better start learning how to listen to your spotter.
That's a 02 ass pack. Just put her into the inside wall. Fire it up if you can here.
Take it to the garage. Turn left. Take it to the garage.
Down here.
Towels in the car right there, Doug.
Push me back to the fucking garage, not 80 miles an hour.
I'm completely fucking lost right now. Like, I don't even know why I'm up here. She's out. I'm taking my shit off. See you guys later.
I'm just dead. I can't. Is there a way to make that like your ringtone?
There probably is. The part I want to start with is I've never heard a spotter rage quit before.
I know.
But Kevin Hamlin, who also spots for Alex Bowman, straight up rage quit on Natalie Decker on a Thursday, and
This man said, "Take my shit home." No, he's taking my shit off. I'm going home.
Like, I wouldn't have been surprised if at that point you like have debris on the field, like on the track, because he threw his equipment onto the track.
yeah.
Like, that's how pissed he was. It's
Look,
just the funniest thing. And even her like responses, you're kind of like, really?
Well, I was listening to it, and she sounds absolutely terrified. And I'm not trying to, pour more sand on the poor girl, but Natalie has raced in 17 races in the Truck Series. She has crashed in all 17. Most of the incidents have been her fault. Just going to put that out there. She is a full-time driver, and she is behind Jennifer Jo Cobb in the point standings. It has not been a good year for her. We know the DGR Grossley equipment is actually good. Tyler Einkram has won 2 races. He's in the playoffs right now. Danny Alfredo, when he's run a truck, has been really good. Unfortunately, he hasn't been able to finish races. And then there's Natalie. Like
But
it's
just kind of funny
not a good
because she was
sign.
like, literally, you hear the drive, like the spotter going inside, and she still turns inside. And it's funny because at the point he's like, I don't even know I'm here. Like, at that point, I swear to God, he was probably looking at all of the other spotters in a shrug emoji stance, going, why am I here?
Inside,
Why?
inside.
Yes.
We're wrecked.
We're wrecked.
It's the we're wrecked that gets me. Because
But isn't
I
it
can
like the next thing he says too? Isn't it like because the crew chief's like, you gotta listen to your spotter, and he's like, why am I even here?
Yep.
Inside. We're wrecked.
I said it 7 times.
He called inside 7 times, and the most sarcastic "we're wrecked"
We're wrecked.
I have ever heard. I could hear the sigh.
Oh, it's pretty funny. It's all the way down to our soul.
Well, here's
We're
our
wrecked.
And it's painful to just, talk about this because you want the girl to succeed. We want more women to succeed in this sport, but she's proven she can't do it. They rushed her up way too fast, and it shows. Like,
did she start with any talent? Like, that's the part that I want to know.
from what I heard, she ran pretty well in Wisconsin in the late models. And then she was so-so in ARCA, could have used some seasoning there, but they rushed her straight to the truck. So they've got her doing 17 truck races, and the East, and the Cannon East, oh my goodness, couch. Caitlin, you can see what he tweeted, but I want her to improve, but man, this ain't working.
I'm gonna put myself on mute. I can't.
So, Michael, you've heard the audio now. What do you think?
Sounds like my friend when she's playing